It's Jefferson, climbs the ladder. Oh my goodness! Come on!
We're back. Yes. Swing for the fences. Holden, DC, and Boynton. Steve is going to be giving away, what is it, $3 $88 tickets right out of the All-Star break. So what's up, Steve?
Yeah, it was a good break. I actually mixed it up a bit in the Summer League NBA streets. It's been awesome. Very profitable. Our guys, Kurt, Rubio, and the whole crew doing a good job there. Got us through. Saw Mission Impossible on Wednesday. I was trying to think of the last time I went to a theater.
How was it?
It was good. It was exactly what I thought it was going to be, entertaining. You just kind of turn your brain off for 2.5 hours, have a couple beers, and enjoyed it. It was fun. I
enjoyed playing the Summer League too. I don't know how much I'm going to be doing it now because we got baseball back, but DC, welcome back after the All-Star break. What have you been doing? What'd you do to get through a few days without baseball?
Yeah, I was up in the mountains pretty much all week. Actually, we took off a couple days early. Week-long kind of vacation, staycation, Southwest Colorado, beautiful area.
Oh yeah.
Enjoyed myself. Took a week off of gambling entirely outside of the All-Star break, which was the All-Star game rather, which was a complete disaster for me. So I should have taken that day off too. But excited to have real baseball back. Feels like a Monday to me because I've been on vacation. Now we got like a full slate, but obviously Friday night and kicking back to it. Excited for the second half of baseball. And we've been locked in prior to the break. Hopefully we can continue on this Friday and going forward as well.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's cleaning up here, so let's pick it back up. Listen, Steve, here's how we're going to do it. So this is just going to be for the subscribers. If you're a member to RPS, you will be eligible to win one of Steve's $3 $88 tickets tonight. So you got to be a member. If you haven't already, Summer 33% off. That's your first payment of a monthly or a weekly plan. So that's what we got here. Again, it's not just baseball. The boys have been killing it. Rubio, Kurt, rest of the team been killing it in Summer League. I know it's like Summer League, NBA. Yeah, Summer League. It's been a lot of fun to play too, especially if you miss NBA a little bit. Football starting up here just right around the corner. We'll have our preseason content there. I know Bruce on the college football side's released some videos too. So we got a lot going on. And just like our boy Don Yeezy says, just hit the like button so we don't got to do it a million times. But we'll give it 5 minutes. And then once we get more people in here, we can start thinking about giving these tickets away. I don't want the contest to fill. But DC, we got a 13-game slate now with the Royals and the Rays postponed. Any other weather that you're wishing that you didn't see right now?
Yeah, some risk, it looks like, in Baltimore. I think mostly for the pitchers there, which I think is interesting with the price tag on Sandy Alcantara.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it will be fine, at least for hitting and probably for pitching as well. But certainly one to keep an eye on. That is the first game that locks up the slate, so it will have as much information as possible to decide on Baltimore, but I think we'll be good. New York, a tiny bit of risk, but again, I do think these games are going to play, just kind of pop up thunderstorms. And then the other one to watch is Chicago. Hot, humid there, some rain looks like on the way. But again, I do think it'll be okay, but those are the three to keep an eye on. We already, of course, did lose the Rays-Royals game, unfortunately. My favorite stat and pitcher were in that game, so kind of a tough one to lose, but should be good otherwise. And even the risky games, I think, will be okay.
All right. Just so everybody knows, if you're a subscriber, if you're a member, go to the live show chat. Sorry, DFS. Go to live show chat, and we'll get those tickets out in just a little bit. Steve, you worried about any of the weather, or you're just going full board? Doesn't matter.
Yeah, it sucks to have a weather slate right off the bat. I think I basically agree with everything that DC said. I'm worried a bit about the pitchers here in Chicago. I think we could get a delay during the game with storms coming in. I'm actually going to the game tonight, so hopefully it doesn't rain. But and then I think Baltimore, if it starts in a delay, I think that's the ideal situation there, like a delay in play there. So that would help Sandy Alcantara for sure. So, yeah, I mean, we're still an hour and a half out until lock, 2.5 hours until that Cubs game starts. So we should know more towards the end of the show.
All right, like it, but it'd be great. Let me give a shout out real quick. Amber Niehaus, okay, Tony's wife. Thank you very much for the hats and all the other hats. This actually looks good on me. The problem is it's a youth hat because I got these for both of my kids. So the only hat I guess that looks good on me is a youth hat. But Amber, thanks for that. The winter hat and all the other stuff for the kids. That's awesome. Now they can actually wear clothes this school season. So I'm excited about that. Let's get into the pitching slate, though, like we normally do. Hit the like button. Steve's giving away the tickets to our subscribers. Ohtani-san, the only pitcher in 5 figures tonight. I think it's worth having a conversation here just about him, DC. Are you going to have Ohtani at home against the Astros?
Yeah, I'll have some Ohtani. I think I'll probably be close to the field, maybe a little bit under on Ohtani. I certainly like Glasnow ahead of him, but obviously that's no longer an option. It's just hard to know with Ohtani, right? I mean, it's kind of been the case his whole pitching career, up and down. Early in his career, it was kind of you never know if he was going to have his command or not. Now it's kind of the health thing. I mean, they talked about scaling back his innings. He had a blister issue. But, I mean, it's Ohtani, right? And he kind of seems to get over these things and just returns to his dominant self. Not a perfect matchup against the Astros, but no Altuve, no Yordan Alvarez. Certainly makes it much better. Yeah, I think you can make a pretty good case for Ohtani as the SP1. There are plenty of big bats that I kind of want to spend up for, so that'll be the reason, along with a little bit of the injury concern, that my exposure is, like I said, close to the field, maybe 20, 25% Ohtani for me. But yeah, I think he's certainly a fine play, and I think certainly the highest upside play. So if you're going for that, I think Ohtani is the way to go. And yeah, if you're playing a bunch of lineups, I think you certainly want some exposure here, but I do think there's at least a little bit of risk as well.
Stevie, we were doing this before the show. We were talking. You're like, me and DC and you, it's a little light on the pitching. So are you going to have any Ohtani tonight?
Yeah, I was planning on being under on Ohtani before the Glasnow news. I was going to be heavy on Glasnow. So I think that just kind of changed the entire slate for me personally. I'm a bit worried about the finger for Ohtani. He was battling a blister right before the break, didn't pitch in the All-Star game because of it. So I do have concerns there, like on top of the tough matchup in general. Like he's facing the Astros. The Astros have had some success against him in the past. I'm not thrilled to use him at 11K in this spot, given the matchup plus the blister issue. I won't be playing him on my main lineup, but like DC said, he's got the upside for 30 plus in any starts. So in my 20 lineups, I will have him in my pool, just not like a main lineup play for me. And then right around the 9K range, I think Luis Castillo comes in super owned here, as he should be at this price, 8-9 at home. He's been awesome at home the entire season, 46 hits allowed in 66 innings, 80 Ks, just been pretty dominant at home. I expect he's the chalk of the slate. He wasn't great down the stretch before the break, but he was going deep into games. So, yeah, I mean, I was not going to play Castillo on my main before the Glasnow news. This Detroit lineup before the break started to hit a little bit once they got a bit healthier. They got Carpenter back, and they also got
Riley Green as well.
Riley Green back, yeah. So I have some concern with Castillo. I do think a really nice pivot is just to go to Charlie Morton here at home as a huge favorite. I'm sure we'll be on the Braves bats too. So good win equity against the a pretty bad White Sox team at home. Morton was good going into the break, like 5 straight, really good starts. So I like going to Morton over Castillo if you want to get different there. They're right at the same price point. And then Eduardo Rodriguez is back. Had 1 start before the break, got up to 80 pitches. I was pretty encouraged by that. Gets a high strikeout matchup here against Seattle. I wouldn't mind playing both pitchers from that game, actually. Seattle, great place to pitch on and we talked about a bunch of weather spots. You don't have to battle with, is a storm going to knock out the game in Seattle? You just, you can play the pitchers there and just not even have to worry about it. At 9.7, I think he comes in pretty low owned, and we've seen him have upside starts this season. I think he's a great guy to mix in if you're playing more than one lineup.
All right, so DC, let's get into this here, and we should let's go 8K and up. We got Rodriguez, we got Barrios, got some interesting pitching options tonight, to say the least. Kopech's in Atlanta, Corbin Burns in Cincinnati, not great spots. 8K from Verlander. Let's go up to Erod on DK. What do you got for us?
Yeah, pretty much echo everything that Steve said. Most of this range, I don't have a ton of interest. I think, especially with the Glass now PPD rather, Luis Castillo, I think, is almost certainly going to be the highest owned pitcher on this slate, probably by a good margin, especially on DraftKings. 8,900 is a cheap price point for him. People are going to see the Tigers, and it's just kind of an easy click. So it's hard to argue against it, right? But he has not been quite as good over the last couple months. He's not I don't think he's a slam dunk necessarily to put up 25 plus or whatever you're looking for. But I do think, if you're playing cash games, he's going to be the first guy in your lineup. He's going to be the most popular pitcher. I will certainly have plenty of exposure to Castillo. Don't think he's a must play. Like Steve said, I think the pivot to Morton makes a lot of sense. Gets the White Sox at home, who White Sox really haven't been good this year. A lot of swing and miss in that lineup as well. Morton himself is kind of a wild card, right? You just never know if he's going to have his command. He can just start walking dudes at any time. But I think the strikeouts will be there for Morton. So I like him quite a bit. And then also, in this range, really the only other guy I'm looking at is Eduardo Rodriguez. Steve mentioned him. I think people are going to see him as a big underdog in Seattle, right? I mean, Seattle's minus 180 because Luis Castillo's on the other side. But that doesn't really matter for Eduardo Rodriguez, right? Like if you're talking a tournament, if he pitches well, he'll have a shot at the win anyway. The price tag is, it's kind of ridiculous. Eduardo Rodriguez is more expensive than the other pitcher in the game, Luis Castillo. And so I think people will overlook Erod there at 9,700. And even in his last game, he gave up the 5 earned runs to Oakland, but 7 strikeouts, no walks in that game. Stuff looked pretty good. Sometimes things just don't go your way. So that was his first start back since May 28th, but he did get up to 79 pitches and then has had another 9 days off. Got to assume he's going to be good to go here. So, I think if you're trying to get contrarian but with upside, Eduardo Rodriguez makes a lot of sense in this range.
Yeah, it's interesting. He hasn't pitched very much. He threw a rehab start back on June 29th, didn't even go 5 innings, but obviously there's some interest there. And then Castillo's been ridiculous at home, right? 254 WOBA, 590 OPS at home against. He's just been terrific. Beefy Layer wants to know whose vibrator keeps going off. Now you would think it was mine, but I don't have one. DC, Boynton, are either one of you using a Manscaped?
No, can't say I am.
It's got to be one of you two guys because there's nothing buzzing over here. So we'll figure it out, guys. I'll get to the bottom of this for you. I'm not sure, but I'm gonna get to the bottom. See, even Trevor's like, who's pagers? But who has pagers anymore? People that watch this don't even know what a freaking pager is. A like button would be great. Just a couple minutes, subscribers. Stevie's gonna give away his tickets. Let's get through the rest of the pitching first, though. DC, I'll come right back at you then. We can do the 7K tier. Creamer, Savali, Mikolas, Bayo, and Maeda. How do we not like Brian Bayo here in Wrigley?
I think he's an okay option, but it looks like if the current forecast holds, well, obviously there's a little bit of rain concern, but beyond that, it looks like extremely favorable hitting conditions in Wrigley Field tonight. What do we have? 80 degrees and 70% humidity. That could change, right? If sometimes the storm goes through, and Steve knows this, and then the wind and temperature can drop. But right now it looks like a game where I don't really want to target pitchers. But yeah, I do get Brian Bayo. Didn't quite make my list. Might sneak on there now with no Glass now. I don't mind that. Kenta Maeda, actually, in this range is my favorite option.
Ooh.
It's actually looked pretty damn solid since coming back from the injured list, even held his own against the Braves. Was dominant against the Royals in his last start. I was reading, he was coming back from Tommy John back in 2021, I believe, missed all of last season. And then early this season, apparently was struggling with his mechanics, was like thinking about that when he was pitching, trying to get that right, really sucked, went on the IL, was dominant in the minors. They called him back up. He's been good since. And I was reading an interview. Basically, he was saying, yeah, when he was first pitching, he was just all focused on the mechanics and trying to get it all right. And now he's not thinking about that. He's back to thinking about like how to attack the hitter, right? He's just kind of letting it go, which is important for a guy like Kenta Maeda, who relies essentially on deception to do everything. This is a good team to go up against if you're that type of pitcher, right? A bunch of youngsters on the A's, including two guys tonight making their MLB debut. I like this spot for Kenta Maeda. I think he can kind of outwit this lineup a little bit, get a bunch of swings and misses, get ahead in the count. Not a lot of risk with the power department in Oakland. And yeah, I think Kenta Maeda, especially with this Oakland lineup.
Look at this Oakland lineup.
What's that?
It's better than it was before. Now at least they got top prospects in there.
Tyler Soderstrom
It's
and
not
Zach
good.
Galoff hitting
It's
5 and 6.
two of the A's
Who's the
top
best
prospects.
prospects?
But yeah,
I don't think their farm system's very good.
I'll take my shot on the veteran pitcher who's pitching well against two guys making their MLB debut. So I like Maeda quite a bit here. I like it more than Bayo for sure, and definitely my favorite. There's the buzzer again. That's my dryer going off. So that's on me.
The dryer.
That's your dryer?
Yeah, the dryer. Yeah, and then just one more pitcher for me on this entire slate, and that is Sandy Alcantara. Assuming the weather looks okay in Baltimore. I know he's been bad this season, but I think the skills are still there. And to me, $6,800 price tag for Alcantara is almost just disrespectful for the reigning Cy Young winner. I think he's going to turn it around in the second half, and I'm definitely willing to take a shot on him at that price point.
So that's it. Like you're just cutting it off right there and nothing below it.
I did but was willing to play Paul Blackburn for the A's against the Twins, but he is no longer pitching. So yeah, that's it for me.
All right, let's roll through this here. Boynton, do you want any Brian Bayo? What are you doing here with the rest of these pitchers? They came below.
Yeah, it sucks that about 20 minutes before we went live, the two pitchers in my core are no longer starting, Glasnow and Paul Blackburn. So, it's kind of tough for me. I do love Maeda. He's my favorite pitcher on the whole slate here, I think, for all the reasons that DC said. It's kind of an interesting pitcher pool because we've got a lot of teams' aces, but they're in some tough spots. Like, I don't want to play Burns in Cincy. I actually am going to play some Reds bats there. John Gray has not looked good lately in the mid-8s. Verlander's at home against the Dodgers with weather. I am going to have some Bayo in my 20 just because of how bad the Cubs have been, and they're striking out a lot, bottom 5 offense, and just kind of like a process of elimination type of play. Like, I don't want to play other guys in this range besides Maeda. So I'm landing on some Brian Bayo there. I don't love a ton. It's kind of the same argument I have for Sandy. Is like on a different slate, I'm not sure if I would have him in my pool. Like if Glasnow and Blackburn were pitching, I'm not sure if I was going to get to him. But, you knock out 2 of the top 3 pitchers in my pool, I have to start looking for other spots here. So I will have some of him in my 20. And then all the way down to the bottom, tough spot in a tough park. But Ashcraft looked a little better right before the break. I'm not sure if that's going to stick. Lots of ground balls, though. So that's allowed him to kind of go deeper in the game. I'm not a huge believer in him long-term, but at 5K, if you're trying to play like Braves and Toronto or something like that. I think he's all right, but I'm not sure if he's going to end up in my pool. So overall, my pool is Ohtani, Rodriguez, Morton, Castillo, Bayo, Maeda, and maybe some Sandy. I haven't decided yet.
DC, Trevor's Brian in our live show chat wants to know if you're sitting on your dryer.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to say. Yeah, like I think the I wish it was a vibrator. That would be less embarrassing than the dryer. So yeah, we can go with that.
Might be kind of fun. Here we go. It's time. We're through pitching. We just got done with pitching. Like button would be great. Summer 33 is the promo code. If you want to play Summer League, Rubio, Kurt, Boyd, you've been in there too. They've been giving some amazing advice here, winning some Summer League money. So that's been kind of fun. We got the NFL starting up in a couple of months. We got preseason action in about a month, right? Maybe even a little less than a month with preseason action. We'll have preseason stuff going on for you here as well. And we'll keep going with baseball, MMA, the golf is coming up. We got, the Open's coming up next week. So lots going on here. Summer 33% off first payment of a weekly or a monthly plan. Steve, let's give away your 3 tickets right now. First of all, the reason why you're giving these away is because you hit 50K?
Yeah, it was right before the break. That Thursday night, I was actually back in DC, stacked up my Orioles against the Yankees. So that made it even sweeter. It was the 5-man Orioles against the Yankees. I got it done. Got to root at home with my parents and sister. So that was a ton of fun. Super exciting, right? Like DC hit one last summer. We're all pumped. I heard you guys on the show. I was bummed I couldn't be on the show on Friday, but I had some family matters to attend to. But it just feels so good. And to have people reach out that they were rooting for you means a lot.
All right, very good. So here's how we're going to give away subscribers. First 3 people that get Steve's age correct, going to win the 88s, okay? First 3 to guess Steve's age correctly is going to win. All right, so and then I'll go back and I'll look at them and I'll find them, and that'll be that. And then you can hit Steve up yourself, but it's time to get back to doing what we do. This is what we do also at RPS. Like, I can't tell you the amount of times we've had not just coordinators win and give back. I can't tell you the number of times we've had our subscribers win and just, hey, guys, we want to pay it forward, good mojo, whatever they say it is. And they're giving tickets away to other people that are just listening. So it's wonderful. I absolutely love it. Good job, Tony Niehaus. Way to use the wrong chat, and you're not eligible to win anyways. You can try and guess my age, Uncle T. We did have a couple get it right already. All right, so that's good. All right, we got our winners. I'll announce the winners here in a minute. Subscribers, you don't got to guess anymore. I got the right number, and that's it. Let's go game by game like we normally do. And we're going to start with this one with Miami and Baltimore. And again, we're a little concerned about the weather here. But Baltimore bats are back. What do we got? No Hayes or Mountcastle in the lineup. Miami offense is garbage. Talk to us here, DC. What do we want for Miami and Baltimore?
I'm not going to a ton of bats here. I think there are some good one-offs on both teams. The lefty power does look decent to me. I know Alcantara, if you've stacked against him in certain games, you've certainly had some success. I'm still not going to do it. I don't mind playing a Rushman or a Gunnar Henderson, Santander as a one-off, but in terms of the full stack, probably not going there. I will say you can run on Sandy Alcantara, so maybe Cedric Mullins makes some sense. They've got some speed in the lineup. I don't think it's the craziest idea to go to Baltimore, but personally not going to do it too much. And then Miami, sort of the same thing. Dean Kramer's been solid, but he does give up a fair amount of home runs. Jesus Sanchez, who was a hero for us a few nights ago before the All-Star break, still too cheap. 2,800 on DraftKings. I have no idea why he's so cheap, but he's been swinging a good bat. Really good park for left-handed power, so he's my favorite play on the Marlins.
What do you think here, Boynton? Game 1, do we want to go with Kramer and Alcantara with this rain, or do we just want to go with some offense or a complete fade?
Yeah, I'm not getting to a ton here. I'm not in love with this Orioles lineup tonight. couple guys missing, like you said. But yeah, I mean, they've been good to me. So I don't think I'm going to them tonight. I probably will later in the weekend with a different starter on the mound. Just on a huge slate with some weather concerns. I like other spots more. I could see the Orioles obviously going off. Sandy's been very shaky lately, giving up just a ton of hits. So the Orioles are a lineup that can snowball. I mean, we saw it twice in the last series before the break. I mean, they just pummeled the Twins over the weekend. So if I picked a side, it would be the O's here. But currently I don't have any bats on either side in my 20.
All right. Like button would be great. Let's get that going right now. We got the 3 winners, Steve. We got C. D'Agostino. We got Duma 1 and then DFS. Doesn't DFS win enough to where you're not going to give it to him, or you're going to give it to him anyways?
Yeah, that's fine. If you won, just shoot me a DM and I will Venmo you the money right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. This is pretty painful. Pretty painful. This is the nicest way possible. Holding age like 10 years during the All-Star break. Maybe if it's the new lighting, if not, Gramps. I mean, I don't know what to tell you, man.
They're coming after us a little bit today. People are making fun of my red nose from getting too much sun, which
it's fine.
I actually a little bit alarmingly red. I will say.
Now you know how I feel. We're getting this all the time. Liliana, I mean, listen, 49 in 4 days. So I'm not getting any younger, sweetheart. Anyway, Steve is 35. Steve is 35, and that's how you win all those tickets there. So D'Agostino, Dumal, DFS. Congrats on the ticket. Just hit Steve Boynton up and things will go well. And what are you, DC? 37, I want to say?
Just turned 38. Yeah.
Just turned 38. All right. So
wait a second. We have
healthy. What?
Well, one of the 3 we have to disqualify. DFS guessed every age between 25 and 40.
Well, I told you, do you want to give it to him anyways? And he's like, it doesn't matter. So
I think only first guess counts.
Yeah, you can't guess.
Only the first guess counts. All right, you are taking it away from DFS.
Yeah, sorry, dude. I mean,
he's not going to be happy.
Through. He literally guessed every number.
He is not going to be happy with you. It's not going to be a good scene. Well, who's the next one? Let me see here. Let's see if any C-Wiz. You want to give it to C-Wiz?
Yeah.
I mean, DFS going to come to your house and beat the shit out of you, but we'll give it to C-Wiz instead if you want. This is not my call, DFS.
He tried to beat the system and he got clipped. You know.
Oh, he said no worries. All right. C-Wiz, you win. You win, C-Wiz. Way to go. Let's get back to our slate at hand. Now we got San Francisco visiting Pittsburgh. So not the greatest, not the greatest place in the world for hitting. But with that being said, Rich Hill has been really, really bad lately. Once again, he had that little stretch where he was good, right? If you go back over his last 9 starts, 5.68 ERA. His swinging strike is down to 6.5. It's just really bad, and he's not locating his curveball very well. And DC, that's trouble for Rich Hill, isn't it? Do we want any Giants, and is anyone going to be on the Giants?
Yeah, I think they'll be lower owned than maybe they should be against Rich Hill. Always pinch hit risk in the Giants lineup, so be aware of that. But there's a couple guys, 2 guys in particular in the middle of that Giants lineup. JD Davis hitting 4th at 4,300. I always like him against lefties. And Patrick Bailey, their catcher, 3,900, I think is one of the better catcher plays on this slate. Just crushes lefties. He's a switch hitter, so he'll stay in there. But you do want to play him when a lefty is on the mound in general. So JD Davis, Patrick Bailey, by far my 2 favorite Giants. And on the other side, it's, the top of the lineup for the Pirates, Jack Sawinski. He'll be somewhat popular today, I think, at 3,800, but not as popular as he should be. I love playing him against mediocre right-handers, especially those that don't strike out that many guys, which describes Ross Stripling pretty well. I think Sawinski, one of the better one-offs on the slate. You can certainly back him up with Reynolds, Henry Davis, if you want to as well, but it is Sawinski, my favorite Pirate here.
Okay. What do you think here, Steve? You want any Giants bats first?
I think the Giants are interesting. Yeah. I don't play them very often. Kind of the same guys that DC was saying. I do like Luis Matos a bit in the 7-hole. Probably a secondary stack because it's very unlikely that you're going to get all 5 guys through without someone getting pinch hit for there. Kind of tough for me to click the Giants on such a huge slate. And then on the other side, kind of a bullpen game. They've been using Stripling for 2 to 4 innings pretty much. And the Pirates do pinch hit, especially with some of their better bats like Sawinski. Ji-Man Choi is back. I assume that he's just going to be another platoon bat in that lineup. Marcano, the same thing. So 2 teams with a lot of pitch hit risk on a 14-game slate. Just not going to go there personally.
All right. Very good. You're going to have to give away another ticket. Ivy23 said he gets 35 first. So you got another $88 on you, Steve?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Go ahead and DM me if you won.
I did not see him get 35 first. Yeah, he did. He actually did. It's my fault. It's my fault.
No, nothing better than spending other people's money.
Yeah.
Have him DM me his Venmo account.
Okay.
I already sent one to
Steve
DiAgostino.
Yeah.
And no one else has DM'd me so far. So.
Yeah. If anybody else wants to get Steve's money, just DM him and ask him for $88. And I'm pretty sure he's going to take care of you with that. Just say, Steve, I need $88. And it's as easy as that. All righty then. Like button. Let's do it. Just for the entertainment itself. It's just absolutely wonderful. And I'm not going to pay Green Ranger. You want me to pay because you didn't win. That's the only reason why you want me to pay right now. Arizona, Toronto, Barrios, and Nelson. Oh, God. DC, I would love to play Toronto bats. There's no runs being scored up there this year. Nelson is a guy I think the Blue Jays could get to. Barrios, on the other hand, who knows what we're getting out of him. You want to play a little Arizona, Toronto tonight, or is it a fade?
Toronto side I like better, but they're not among my favorite stacks here. Not going to Diamondbacks. Barrios has been pretty solid for most of the season. I think the roof is open in Toronto, so it should be a pretty good hitting environment, but kind of lukewarm on this game in general. Of course, you can play the studs from either side. Corbin Carroll, always a good one-off, and I think that's still true tonight. And then I say it often, but usually if I go to the Blue Jays, it's a full-on stack, the full maybe 5-man at the top of the lineup, always a decent option. Ryan Nelson, kind of up and down, but I definitely gettable for the Blue Jays. So I like them a little bit. I wouldn't be surprised to see this offense take off in the second half. It's just too good to kind of be as slow as they've been so far. So they're certainly one I'm keeping my eye on, but maybe not tonight.
Yeah, Al Zervik, hold on a second. I dated his mom back in 1983. I was not 8. I was like 8. And how's she doing these days? It's been a long time. Loved the perm. That was great. And hopefully she wasn't walking too bad when she'd leave the house. So, Boynton, what do you want to do with this Toronto game?
Yeah, I like Toronto a lot. Actually, debating playing them on my main team. Ryan Nelson has been very up and down. Love that the roof is open here. Really like this Blue Jays lineup. Donnie Johnson's in there hitting 8.
Donnie Johnson.
Yeah, so Blue Jays will definitely be one of the 4 or 5 teams that I stack up on the slate. Haven't decided on my main lineup yet, but ton of interest here. The Diamondbacks, probably later in the weekend. I don't know. Barrios has been a bit better at home. I'm just focused on the Toronto side. I think it's a good spot. I think they might go a bit overlooked with all the good spots on the slate, including Coors. And, just a lot of power. They started to swing the bats a little bit better right before the break. So in on Toronto, probably out on the D-backs here.
Okay, very good. We'll move right along to Milwaukee and Cincinnati. And Boynton, I'll just come right back to you for this one. We've got Corbin Burns, who hasn't been the same Corbin Burns, but lately we're starting to see a little bit of that. We've got a game here in Cincinnati where runs have been scoring left and right. And then you've got a Milwaukee lineup that has struggled this year, but they get to take on a gas can today in Ashcraft. So what do you think of these two teams, Brewers at the Reds?
I'm laughing because I've got 20 people DMing me about the $88.
Hold on, I'm going to DM you real quick too, just to make it fun.
I love both sides of this game. I think you can game stack here. The Reds, right before the break, had gotten really, really priced up on DK. They are now cheaper again, so I think that they are definitely playable. Burns has been good, but we got temps in the high 80s, low 90s, and a great hitter's park, second best on the slate behind Coors. Ashcraft I mentioned in the pitchers, but yeah, I mean, I'd much rather stack against him here. The Brewers lineup, very cheap. Let me pull it up here. Pretty much up and down the lineup is cheap. The most expensive guy is Yelich at 4.6. They've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of their guys are under 3K. So I think that the Brewers work really, really well as a secondary stack, especially if you're playing like the big bats from Atlanta or Toronto. I'm actually playing them as a mini in my main lineup right now.
All right, what do you got, DC, Milwaukee, Cincinnati, or neither?
Yeah, both these teams in my top 5 stacks. The matchup much better for the Brewers, obviously, against Ashcraft, who he has some talent, but he's also been blown up in a number of games this year, and the weather and the hitting environment, just in general, obviously, in Great American Ballpark is amazing today. Ball's going to be absolutely flying. Going to be a packed house, I'm sure, or close to it in Cincinnati on Friday night, first game back after the break. We know kind of the swagger that this Reds team is playing with. So I actually do prefer the Red side of this. I do think it's a stack that could absolutely do nothing, right? If Burns is on his game, it won't necessarily matter, the ballpark. But the Reds are just one of those teams where if things get rolling, they rack up fantasy points in a hurry. You can also run on Corbin Burns. It is Victor Caratini catching tonight. Base Steelers are 31 for 35 against him. He's caught just 11% of them. Reds have all that speed. They've got left-handed power. The park, bad bullpen behind Burns. So kind of a boomer bust spot for the Reds, but that's fine. I mean, it's the more important thing is when the boom hits, right? When you get the top 10% outcome for the Reds, that can get you to the top 0.1% of the slate, which is what you're trying to do in GPPs, obviously. So I think the Reds are going to go a little bit overlooked because of the matchup. I think their upside is just as high as it always is. They're just a little bit less likely to get there. But that's less important to me than the actual upside itself. So I definitely like the Reds tonight.
Yeah, Brian Anderson's out. That just came down. So I don't know if anybody was rolling him out there. He's scratched.
Stack just gets cheaper.
The stack gets cheaper. Now you like him more.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think they put Monasterio in for him, and he is 2,200 at second base. So, yeah, I think the Brewers are like an elite secondary stack here. Also, I ended up sending 5 88.
Oh my God.
So those are done. Congrats to all the members who won.
Did you get my DM? Did you get my DM, Steve?
I did.
It was not a pick. It was not. It wasn't mine. Is all.
You were my.
It was somebody else's.
DM, Holden. So sorry, you didn't.
My sixth DM.
You didn't make the top 5.
I included my vibrator in the DM. I was asking for the $88.
Was that the price of the vibrator too?
Yeah.
Get it covered.
Yankees lineups out too. We'll get to that in just a second. Like button would be great. Let everybody know that this has been a lot of fun. You know, this is a slow time of year, but the boys and the NBA side, the young guys, Rubio and Kurt, and those guys got me. They kept me busy with Summer League, NBA Summer League during the break. It has been profitable. You'll see RPS logos up there. If you want to keep playing or you have not checked it out yet, great time to join. Or if you're a subscriber, you can go check that out too. But great time to join. Summer 33% off the first payment of a weekly or a monthly plan. You might as well check it out now. Baseball is back. We got golf. We've got MMA, and we got football starting up, preseason football starting up in about a month or so. So here we go. Let's get going. And our next game will be the Doyers and the Mets. So the Dodgers with Urias on the mound, Verlander on the mound for the Mets. DC, Verlander, last couple starts have been good. He's not getting the strikeouts, though. And here we go with the Dodgers now, having to go all the way across the country. They've probably been hanging out there for a couple of days. Talk to me. What do we got offensively in this game, if anything?
Not a ton here for me. Julio Urias finally looked like his normal self last start against the Pirates. And when he's, good on his game, he's not really a guy you want to pick on. Just doesn't get blown up very often, not a ton of home runs. So I'm off the Mets pretty much entirely. Dodgers, I think, are a little more interesting. Verlander, probably not as a full stack, but I do like, Betts, Freeman, Will Smith, Muncy, Martinez, all those guys at the top, I think could make good plays individually. It's just Verlander's just so unlikely to, implode and start walking dudes and have a short start. Like, it just doesn't happen very often for him. Still, I do think they could get a home run or two off of him, which is why I think you want to keep the Dodgers in play as one-offs. But I wouldn't go to the full stack here personally. And, yeah, no Mets for me.
Okay. Steve, you want to mess with the Mets or the Dodgers?
It would be Dodgers for me, for basically the same reasons that DC was talking about. I didn't get to them personally here. They did sign, I can't remember who it was. I think it was Marisnik over the weekend. I put out a tweet that just muddles up this lefty righty platoon outfield even more for the Dodgers. So guys like Peralta, Hayward, Outman, just even more increased pinch hit risk with a guy who hits lefties well and a very good defensive outfielder in Marisnik joining that club. So, it's a minor detail, but when you're stacking an expensive team like that, it's something to consider. So don't want any Mets here. I think that the Dodgers are fine. I just didn't get to them personally.
Thought the Dodgers activated Chris Taylor. He's not in the lineup tonight. I mean, we talk about platoons and stuff, but
yeah,
they got some guys coming back, and then Kershaw's out till early August. So this is the right move too. Let that dude sit, let him get some rest, and that's it. Who's pissed? Did I put that up there, or did you guys put that up there? Somebody's pissed. Oh, Al's mom is pissed. Yeah, Al's mom is pissed. It's okay. She'll be fine. Give her my number. She can call me. DC, next one, White Sox, Braves. We always love the Braves here at RPS. Should today be any different?
Not from where I'm sitting. I think this looks like an amazing spot for the Braves. They get Michael Kopech here, who is coming off of injury. He's also, he's a true wild card of a pitcher, right? A ton of talent in that arm, no question about it. He's had some dominant starts along the way, but when things go bad for Kopech, it's a fantasy bonanza for the other side. It's home runs, walks can also be an issue for him, and stolen bases. Gives up a ton of stolen bases. I think he's given up the second most stolen bases in the league, behind only Noah Syndergaard. And then for the last 2-3 years, Yasmani Grandal has been absolutely horrible throwing out base runners as well. So you put the two things together for Kopech, right? Home runs he gives up, steals he gives up. It's a bad combination against the Braves. He also throws a ton of four-seam fastballs. The Braves hit the fastball better than any team in the league. It's hot, humid in Atlanta, I think, and coming off injury, right? So there's the wild card too. If we don't know what kind of Michael Kopech we're going to see, I kind of assume that the fact the White Sox are giving him the first start out of the break, that he's probably good to go. But I don't know. You don't know that for sure. And if he's anything other than his best self, he'll get absolutely killed here. Even if he is on his game and feeling good, I think the Braves do plenty of damage. They are my number one stack tonight. Not going to White Sox bats. I like Morton quite a bit, especially after the Glasnow scratch. So I'll be certainly a Braves fan tonight.
Boynton, any Braves tonight?
Yeah, I'm working on my main lineup right now. I will have a Braves 5-man in my main. Feel like the last Friday show we weren't on Braves, and they just decimated the slate. Felt bad because we always talk about them on these Friday shows, especially when they're at home. So I love the Braves here. Speed, power, like DC said, Kopech gives up both, and when things go wrong, they go wrong quickly for him. So love the Braves here, and then definitely no White Sox here. I'm going to have a ton of Morton. Like I said earlier, I think he's one of the best pivots on the entire slate, the Morton pivot to Luis Castillo, or I guess the other way around.
Damn, you're gonna have to eat it at pitcher with one cheap guy tonight. Then, if you can get these Braves in, huh?
I don't think so.
Really?
Talked about the Brewers as a good secondary
cheapy
stack with how cheap they are. So if you have a cheap secondary, I think you can play two pitchers that you're comfortable with, along with a Braves 5-man that includes two of the 3 or 4 studs that they have.
Oof, but not all 3 studs. I'm trying to get those 3 studs in there. We'll see what happens. We'll keep going. Swaggy Pizza. Everybody's Acuna. Of course, everybody's going Acuna. He's awesome. He's the MVP in the National League. He's the second best baseball player in the world. So we move on from this one, guys, and we got one in Dallas, suburban Dallas. Cleveland at the Rangers. And, I'm always on the Rangers. I think they needed this break big time. Unfortunately, half of them played in the All-Star game. But we do have John Gray, who's had some extra time to rest that finger. He's not been good since coming back with the blister. Aaron Savali, on the other hand, has pitched pretty darn well, DC. Do you see yourself rostering bats from either side tonight?
I like the Rangers side. A little curious why their total is so low. Sitting at only 4.5. They've got all their guys in there. Savali's not any good, so that's a little bit curious to me, but I still do like the Rangers quite a bit. John Gray versus Cleveland, kind of just avoiding both sides of that matchup, to be honest. Need to see it, at least I do, from John Gray kind of before I dive back in there, especially against a low strikeout team like the Guardians. I didn't get to John Gray. I don't think he's the craziest option. Didn't have a ton of interest in the Guardians bats. It would be the Rangers stack that's the most interesting to me here.
What are you thinking on the Rangers, Steve?
I think I want to wait and see on them. Like you said, they kind of scuffled into the break. They had basically their entire team fly out to the West Coast and play in that game. I'm going to see how they react to that. Savali's been better than expected since coming back. The lineup's not cheap on DK. It's not a good hitter's park to attack the pitchers with either. I think this is just kind of like a cross off for me. I do want to see how the Rangers bounce back after the All-Star break, though.
Oh, I just saw JSU. How can I screw up? I had one fucking job, and that was to give away the tickets. Well, you know what? I knew Steve was going to give away 5 tickets, so I could fuck around as much as I want to. You can take that. Take that, JSU. Like button would be really appreciated. Some algorithm thing. Summer 33 is the code. 33% off first payment, weekly, monthly plan. And still lots going on here at RPS. We just got through the 3 slowest days in the sports calendar. And baseball's back. Summer league's out there. Grinding golf, MMA, everything here. You get it all for one price at RPS. Boston and Chicago. So, you know what, Steve? I'll go with you. It's a Friday night game. Are you going to the Cubs game tonight?
I am. Yeah.
All right.
Well, currently,
the rain.
I'm checking the weather. I do like Boston a lot here. DC mentioned earlier the wind's blowing out. It is 91 degrees right now, which you don't see very often in Chicago. So I think the spot goes a bit overlooked here, DC. I haven't heard or read or seen that many people talking about the good weather here for bats. Kyle Hendricks, smoke and mirrors pitcher, could see it going really bad quickly for him, especially in this type of weather. The whole crew's back for the Red Sox. We got Verdugo back in there hitting 5th. Really like the lineup. It's affordable too. So the outfielders for a while were all pushing 6K. Now we've got Verdugo, Yoshida, Duran's leading off for 3.6. Yeah, I have a ton of interest in Red Sox. I think that you can make an argument to play them on a main lineup. I'm just a little bit concerned about weather here, but I think it'll end up being fine.
Okay. What do you think, DC, about this game at Wrigley?
Yeah, the weather is really the only issue, but like Steve said, not going to keep me off the bats here. Really like the Red Sox against Kyle Hendricks. I know he's been pretty decent. I think he's just with the lack of stuff, it can go south for him at any point. Good lineup here for the Red Sox, and hopefully this heat, humidity, and wind all kind of stays the same for this game. If it does, ball will be absolutely jumping in Wrigley tonight, and I think this is a game you're going to want exposure to really on both sides. I prefer the Red Sox side, but I think the Cubs are interesting too. I know Brian Bayo's been good. I don't think he's a guy you necessarily have to avoid, and I'll take the weather, the great hitting environment over any other factor in this game. So, yeah, give me both offenses. The top of the Red Sox lineup is my preference. And then I do like the heart of the Cubs lineup. Happ, Suzuki, Bellinger, Morel looks pretty good to me there. So, yeah, I think we're going to see runs in this game.
All right. Very good. Going a little Cubs action. Washington, St. Louis is our next game. DC right back at you here. I don't know if anyone trusts St. Louis, but it looks like they're in a pretty good spot against Trevor Williams tonight. Mikolas on the other side. Not so sure anybody's going to be rostering Washington bats. We'll find out. A little threat of rain here should get the game in, right? So is St. Louis on the radar? Not weather-wise, like seriously.
Yeah, I'll be under the field on St. Louis. To me, they feel like kind of last year's Twins, where it's like you look at the lineup, all these good spots, great weather, good matchup against Williams, big names, and they just don't seem to come through very often. Just seems like that type of season for St. Louis, and could be getting worse. I think they're going to ship off a bunch of pieces at the trade deadline. But for tonight, I get it why people are going there. I mean, they do have, I think, the second or third highest team total, third highest maybe on the slate overall. Trevor Williams not any good, bad bullpen behind him, so I get it. With St. Louis, just not going to go there much myself. I'll have these guys mixed in there. Donovan, Goldschmidt makes some sense. But as a stack, kind of a no thanks, despite the good matchup. Kind of same thing with Mikolas and the Nationals. I think Candelario hitting third is a pretty good play. He's been pretty good this season. Not playing Mikolas. So, yeah, not a ton of exposure to this game for me.
Steve, this is probably – actually, I think they've already come out and said that this lineup's going to be a lot different. This team's going to be a lot different after the trade deadline for the Cardinals. We'll see if Goldie gets moved too. That could be huge. That's their biggest piece that they could dangle out there. But what about tonight for the Cardinals?
Yeah, I think the Cardinals are interesting. A team that I haven't played much. I think that they might end up being my last cut, though. I just like a lot of other teams a good bit here. Like we talked about the Braves. I like Toronto. I like the Brewers and the Reds. And I like Boston. So I like all those teams more than the Cardinals here. The pricing is pretty good, though. I think they come in more popular than people think. I think that they end up pretty chalky. So I'm not really that interested in playing a shitty Cardinals team, when they're popular on a huge slate in a pitcher's park. So they ended up getting the axe from me. Haven't really played much of them the entire season, so don't feel too bad about it.
Yankees coming here to Denver. Me and DC are in the Denver area. It's nice today. It's not too hot down here south of Denver, DC. How is it up there?
Yeah, a little warm, but not too bad.
Beautiful weather out here. So it'll be warm enough though. And the Yankees lineup, we've seen this, but they're in course tonight. And then there's the Rockies, and things continue to get worse and worse and worse for them. So Gomber's put together some decent starts lately. The problem is he's pitching at home tonight. He's not pitched well here. Do you like any Yankees?
Yeah, I think you have to against Austin Gomber, the lefty. Not very good. Obviously, Coors Field factor as well. The Yankees do have decent amount of right-handed power, getting a little bit healthier with Stanton, Donaldson, Bader, Torres. All those guys seem like pretty good plays. Volpe down there at the bottom of the lineup, I think, is solid at 4K. So, yeah, I like the Yankees. I think they'll be very popular, obviously, with Coors Field and good matchup and all that. And then I think people are going to overlook the Rocky side. I get it against Carlos Rodon. Who did look, I thought, okay, or pretty good, at least stuff-wise, in his first start back. But I still think there are question marks, and making your second start, basically in the last year in Coors Field, could easily see things going south for him. So I do think the Rockies are interesting too. Blas Diaz, I think, is one of the better catcher plays on the slate. But, yeah, I mean, most of this lineup is reasonable. Crone, Grichuk, Ezekiel Tovar is cheap. Brenton Doyle down at the bottom, not a bad play at 3,300. All this right-handed power against the pitcher and Carlos Rodon, we're just not quite sure what we're going to see going forward. So I think the Rockies are going to go overlooked.
You think the Rockies are going overlooked, Steve?
Yeah, I mean, there's just so many spots to play on the slate. You can't play them all, right? I think that obviously the Yankees will be popular here. I think I'm going to restrict them to secondary stacks, mainly like the outfielders, Bader, Stanton, and actually Josh Donaldson's been hitting lefties since he came back. So those are my three favorites. They're cheap. So yeah, like with a 6.5 total, they'll be by far the highest owned here. I like the Rockies call. Rodon did not look very good in his first start back. Now just has to go to Coors after the break. I could see the Rockies hitting some bombs against him. So not my favorite Coors spot. I'll have some Yankees as secondaries, but that's about it. I'm mainly focused on those earlier stacks that we talked about.
All right, boys and girls, we got just two games left, and then we'll talk a little FanDuel for a second. Then we'll get everybody out of here so you can go build your lineups. But let's go to the Astros and the Angels. And again, we got France and Ohtani, the pitching matchup here, DC. I can't imagine Houston's be very popular. Is there anybody from the Angels? Let's start with the Angels. Anyone from the Angels you'd be interested in tonight against a righty?
Yeah, I do like, well, you can't play Ohtani himself still. So that obviously reduces this interest in the Angels stack overall. They get Zach Neto back. He's 2,700 leading off. He's a solid play. Moniak hitting cleanup 3,800. A good way to go. Don't love this lineup right now, though, for the Angels, especially with not being able to play Ohtani himself as a hitter. So I won't be going to full stacks here. Obviously, Ohtani, pretty good pitching play tonight. Not going to play any Astros against him. So, yeah, not a ton of offense here for me. Really, really good hitting weather, though, if you do want to go to this game.
What do you got for us, Steve, with the Angels and the Astros?
Did you see what FanDuel did today with Ohtani? They screwed.
Oh, yeah. Is he only available as a hitter or something?
Yeah, you can't use him as a pitcher today on FanDuel.
Of course.
Not confusing at all.
Yeah, I would prefer the Angels side, like you said. Neto returning, hitting leadoff is cool. Moniak cleanup. He's been awesome against right-handed pitching. Probably a spot for later in the weekend. I feel like I've said that a couple times, but I just don't love this spot overall for bats here. I'm pretty locked in on the 5 other teams that I talked about earlier.
All right, so it's not going to take long for us to talk about the last game with Minnesota and Oakland?
No.
All right, Steve, then you go first. No, just pass?
Pass for me. Love Maeda here, and I don't play the Twins pretty much against anyone. So I do think that they'll end up getting some ownership, especially the top of the lineup. Donovan Solano against a lefty, pinch hit risk, like we talked about on the show before, has bitten us in the 2 at-bats that he gets, but I'll continue to fade a popular pinch hit risk guy hitting in Oakland.
How about some Geloff for you tonight, DC?
Yeah, the 2 Athletics rookies making their debuts are both 2K, hitting 5 and 6. I mean, yeah, you can do worse if you're playing a Brave stack or something, you need the punt. I don't mind those guys. I do like Maeda. He is in the core plays tonight, so I won't be going to a ton of A's, but they're fine as punts, I think. And the Twins do have, I think, some interesting plays with Waldichuk starting now, Correa and Buxton. I'm with Steve. I'm going to pass on Solano myself. I'm sure he'll break the slate in his first at bat and get pinch hit for.
Please no.
But then, yeah, Miranda and Castro hitting 5th and 6th, I think, are both pretty good plays. 2,900 and 2,200 for Willie Castro, who's been pretty solid this season. Makes some sense against a bad pitcher and obviously bad bullpen behind Waldichuk.
All right, very good. We're done with that. Let's get to FanDuel plays. Who's your SP1 on FanDuel there, DC?
Yeah, we did skip Tigers and Mariners. Maybe that was intentional. I'm not playing any hitters from that.
No, it definitely was not intentional.
I was trying to help you out, Holden.
I was still envisioning you sitting on a dryer, and it's been very exciting over here. Did you want to play any bats from that one, Boynton? Seriously, anything?
No.
So FanDuel, who's your SP1? SP1 boys.
So the big play on FanDuel, I think, if you're trying to get in expensive hitters, I bet this will be reflected in ownership, is Kenta Maeda is only 7K over there.
Yeah.
If you want to play the Braves, he's kind of the man, right? So, which I do. So I like Maeda. Castillo at 9,700, I think, is really solid. And then Morton at 9,500, a good way to go. Those are the three guys I'm looking at. Things for the most part do look the same, though. Braves are expensive as always. And one thing, I do think the Yankees are still relatively cheap. They'll probably be very popular on FanDuel.
Steve, FanDuel, if you're playing?
I'm not playing FanDuel tonight because I registered for NBA Summer League, which apparently just locked 3 minutes ago. I didn't know. So tonight's off to a great start. At least I don't have any players locked in. So
play the later games, I suppose, huh?
Yeah.
You can do that. All right. I don't see any of our graphics loaded up for this, but it's time for the plays of the day. The Mom's Basement play of the day is going to be DC's. So what is it? What's the play of the night here, DC?
Yeah, it's a play of the night. I think it was the week before break, came through in a big way. We'll go back to it. Jesus Sanchez swinging a hot bat, big park upgrade. Dean Kramer does give up fly balls, and he's very cheap, 2,800 on DraftKings, 2,700 on FanDuel. I think he kicks us off right with the first inning home run from Sanchez.
I like it. I'm going to give you the good mojo play of the day here, Boynton, because you gave out 5 $88 tickets because you won a whole bunch of money. So let's do it, dude. What's the good mojo play of the night?
Good mojo is going to be a pitcher tonight. I'm going to go with the pivot that I talked about earlier, going Charlie Morton over Luis Castillo. I think you can play them together, but I really like if you're playing single entry, just if you have the $100 going up to Morton. I'm playing Morton with Braves and Brewers on my main team. So hopefully the Braves score a shitload of runs. He gets an easy win and gets us to like 25 DK. So that's cool. The route that I'm going for single entry tonight.
I'm veering way off the highway here. I'm going Ezekiel Tovar, kid that loves hitting at home. He's got lefty tonight. Rockies rookie, batting 7th. I don't know how many people are going to be on him. Probably not too many, but Ezekiel Tovar is my play of the night. Hey, don't forget to hit the like button on the way out. Summer 33 is our code. 33% off first payment of a weekly or a monthly plan. Okay, so we still got baseball for another few months. NFL preseason about a month away. We've also got MMA, golf, and Summer League, NBA Summer League, which we've been grinding away at these last few days. It's been a hell of a lot of fun. So great job today, guys, for DC and Boynton and everybody else. Congratulations on winning those tickets to our 5 dudes that won the tickets. We appreciate everybody watching today. And as always, keep running pure.